We've all heard stories about several discoveries of strange artifacts that arrived from space. Because of their origin, these objects are often recorded as alien-like material, which baffles astronomers and scientists. To understand how and why some of these objects exist, we have gathered the true stories surrounding them. Here are 15 mysterious artifacts that arrived from outer space. Number 15. The valuable meteorite. This artifact is said to be more valuable than gold. The discovery of this valuable rock happened on April 23, 2019, as it glistened through the skies of Costa Rica in a bizarre mix of orange and green. A bit past 9 p.m., the village of Aguasarcas heard a tense sound in the atmosphere. A village resident, Marcia Campos Munoz, recalls watching the news when she heard the noise. Concerned about what such a rumble may be, she snuck out to calm her dog, which had been barking and checking on the cows on her farm. Shortly after returning to the house, she heard a blast smash through the roof. Terrified by what just happened, Campos Munoz contacted her family for help, thinking it was a break-in. Her father, brother, and son rushed to the house only to see a grapefruit-sized hole in the roof and a smashed table. That was where they saw the fragments of strange objects. Its properties were warm to the touch and were as black as coal. When Campos Munoz picked up the object's biggest fragments with her hands, her phone was buzzing from friends informing her of a blazing fireball about the size of a washing machine scattering across farms and fields. Little did they know that it was a space rock that had broken up in the skies over the village. These meteorite fragments are a carbonaceous chondrite, a spotless remnant of the solar system in its early days. Generally, meteorites are usually seen as lumps of stone or metal, but carbonaceous chondrites are different. Besides being rich in carbon, they're also abundant in organic molecules, like amino acids and the building blocks of proteins, making the space rock very valuable. Named Aguasarcas due to the area where it landed, scientists propose that this space rock will help them in researching what the earliest days of our solar system were like while the space rock was forming some 7 or 8 billion years ago. Number 14. The Hypatia Stone. The Hypatia Stone was discovered in 1996 when an archaeologist was on field work in an Egyptian desert. As he uncovered each area piece by piece, he stumbled across an unusually shiny black stone. The stone's composition has baffled scientists over the years. Ever since Ali A. Barakat discovered it, several studies have been conducted on the stone, making scientists confirm that the stone is of extraterrestrial origin. Named after Hypatia of Alexandria, the Hypatia stone had tests conducted on it by Jan Kramers and his research team at the Johannesburg University. After multiple tests in 2015, the team concluded that the stone was not part of a meteorite or a comet, as the stone's matrix was not like other meteorite compositions. The Hypatia stone has a huge part of carbon and some amount of silicon. This confused scientists more because it didn't come from our planet or galaxy and wasn't a comet or meteorite. So where did the stone come from? Moving further into their research at the Johannesburg University, Kramers compared the Hypatia stone's internal structure to a fruitcake. He stated it was like a poorly mixed dough forming the bulk of the pebble, mixed matrices, with the mineral grains lurking in the stone's inclusions representing the cherries and nuts. He compared the secondary substances in the stone's cracks to the flour dusting the gaps in a fruitcake. However, there are other weird things about this stone. After their 2018 micromineral analysis, Kramers and his research team revealed further that the stone has a high concentration of polyaromatic hydrocarbons, PAH, a major component of interstellar dust and microscopic diamonds. The stones are further composed of silver iodine, aluminium, silicon carbide, and phosphide. The grains also included some phosphorus, very little iron, and nickel. The latter elements, the materials that form the majority of bulky planets. Based on these findings, Kramers and his team proposed that the Hypatia stone contains matter existing in space before our solar system was even formed, which means that this stone is well older than the Sun. Number 13. The Delta II rocket's crash. This was a crash in Oklahoma with a woman out in the park going about her daily activities. The crash happened due to a malfunction of the Delta II launch vehicle that was carrying it. The Delta II rocket was launched in 1997 before it cracked in half and exploded 13 seconds into flight. A few days after the incident, a woman named Lottie Williams was hit by the Delta II rocket's debris. At 4 a.m., Ms. Williams was walking through a park in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when she noticed an object which seemed like a shooting star. In her statement about the incident, she recalled, "It was just a big ball of fire shooting across the sky at just a fast speed." When Lottie Williams turned back to see what or who touched her shoulder, she didn't see anyone but an object lying on the ground. This object turned out to be a piece of burned mesh, and analysis showed that it could have been part of a returning Delta II rocket, the shooting star she saw in the sky. In her statement, she added, "I think I was blessed that it doesn't weigh that much," says Williams, noting that larger pieces of this rocket fell elsewhere. "I mean, that was one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me." That same year, a woman was hit in the head by a light piece of charred woven material, although she wasn't injured. The material was later identified as a fragment from a Delta II booster, which re-entered Earth's atmosphere in late January. Number 12. Russian space debris. This discovery is one of the few space debris in the United States. Discovered in northwestern Colorado, a man was hiking when he encountered a strange crater caused by a large spherical object. When the hiker checked the object, he saw that it was still warm to the touch, which means that the object had just crashed into the area. For fear of what the object might be and its effects, the hiker called military aerospace officials to report the situation. Unfortunately, he was referred to report the incident to a local police department instead. But the hiker did not give up, as he kept reaching out until he could contact the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Office. He talked to the office responsible for tracking space debris around the solar system, then reported the incident. After several analyses, it was seen that the spherical material came from a Russian Zenit 3 rocket. The rocket was launched in January before crashing down to where it was found. Number 11. The Polonnaruwa fossils. On December 29, 2012, a fireball lit up the early evening skies in the Sri Lankan province of Polonnaruwa. When the meteorite landed, the hot, sparkling fragments of the fireball rained across the countryside, and eyewitnesses confirmed the strong odor of tar or asphalt in the area. As the days went by, local police gathered several samples of the stones they saw in the region. These samples were sent to the Sri Lankan Medical Institute of the Ministry of Health, Colombo. After the institute researchers noticed the stones had unique features, they forwarded the stone samples to a team of astrobiologists at Cardiff University in the UK for more tests. The results brought forth by the Cardiff team were quite shocking. The team mentioned that these stones contained fossilized biological structures in the rock's matrix and that their tests exempted the possibility of terrestrial contamination. Of 628 stones sent to Jamie Wallace and his team, they could only identify 3 as possible meteorites. These 3 stones have strange properties, making them appear unusual. For instance, one of the stones had a density of less than 1 gram per cubic centimeter, which is lesser than all known carbonaceous meteorites. It also had a partially fused crust, solid evidence of atmospheric heating, and about 4% carbon content. When the stone went through more tests, the research team saw that the stone contained organic compounds with a high molecular weight, a factor that is outrightly unknown in meteorites. With these studies completed, Wallace and his team concluded that the fireball could have been a small comet, but a discovery within the stone disputed his theory. Based on the electron microscope images of structures within the stone, Wallace and his team found a fascinating microfossil within the stones. The image showed a complex, thick-walled, carbon-rich microfossil about 100 micrometers across. This discovery stunned scientists because the microfossil has similarities with a group of largely extinct marine dinoflagellate algae. Still, their discoveries were only sometimes accepted, as there are still other explanations to the story. One explanation is the fireball was of terrestrial origin, which means that it could have been a remnant of several asteroid impacts in Earth's history, which could have ejected tons of rock and water into space and possibly biological materials alongside. However, another explanation says the structures are not biological and have a different explanation for the phenomenon. Number 10. The Dropa Stones. In 1938, a Chinese professor, Dr. Chi-Pu Te, conducted an expedition to the Bayankara Ula Mountains of China. When he got to the area, Professor Te noticed a set of caves that had been tunneled into the mountains. These caves got the professor's attention as they looked like the caves were carved by some advanced technology. When they entered the caves, a wonderful surprise met the team's adventurous spirits. The caves had several small graves, with each grave containing a small skeleton. These skeletons were barely over 4 feet in height, but they had heads that were unusually large for their small bodies. This view was clear to the professor and the crew that the grave's remains were definitely not children's skeletons. The professor also saw some circular stones close to the grave. These stones are roughly 1.33 of an inch in thickness. The stone discs had holes drilled through the center, carved with spiral grooves reaching outwards. A major mystery about the stone discs was their engravings, which were of unknown origins. The cave walls which housed these graves were decorated with basic drawings of the rising sun, the moon, unidentifiable stars, and even drawings of the Earth that dated back to 12,000 BC. All the cave drawings were joined together with lines of minute pea-sized dots. After Professor Tay made this discovery, he returned to China. The outcome of his expedition stated that the skeletons may have belonged to gorillas or inhabitants of the Himalayan mountains. When he wrote about the discs, he said another culture must have added them. These claims made him become a laughingstock among the archaeological community in China. Since then, the professor's findings were kept until the university decided to dig deep into the research, a research that was later known to be the Dropa stones. Dr. Sum Amnui led it. When the research team saw that the stones had microscopic hieroglyphics, Sum Amnui removed 716 stones from the graves in the mountain caves to study them further. He studied the stones and transcribed them. According to one of his translations, one of the hieroglyph lines said, "The Dropa came down from the clouds in their aircraft. The men, women, and children of the neighboring peoples, Ham, hid in the caves 10 times before sunrise. When at last they understood the sign language of the Dropa, they realized that the newcomers had peaceful intentions." Another part of the hieroglyphs also expressed regret and sadness by the Ham tribe that the alien spaceship had crash-landed in such a remote area. The circumstances surrounding the area and its mountains made no way to construct a new spaceship for the Dropa to return to their planet. Besides which, the Dropa civilization lost some crew members to the crash. This led the survivors to live in a strange land for their remaining years. When the mountains were first discovered, archaeologists and anthropologists had gone to learn more about the Bhayankara Ula area, and what they got in response was true to the hieroglyphs on the discs. Legend in the community spoke of small yellow-faced men who came from the stars long ago. The Russians also became interested when they heard about the Dropa stones. They asked for permission to research the stones, which was granted. Some of the stone discs were sent to Moscow for tests. The research showed that the stones had a high level of cobalt and other metallic materials. The scientists were also surprised when they saw the stones oscillate like there was an electrical charge conducted in them. Scientists also found that the stones emit a unique hum when placed on a turntable. Presently, there needs to be more information about whether these stones still exist. It seems like they've all but vanished. The discs were allegedly stored in several museums in China, but none of these museums report any traces of these discs. Even the discs sent to the then USSR for analysis could not be found. It seemed like their experiments were stopped abruptly and never talked about again. At a time, a man who knew about the Dropa discs approached a museum in Sen and asked to take a picture of them. Unfortunately, the discs stored in the Sen Museum vanished from their display a few moments after the photographs were taken. Number 9. The Alien Spaceship. Discovered on October 19, 2017, a researcher at the University of Hawaii Institute of Astronomy spotted the weird object as it was leaving the solar system. Oumuamua was identified as the first interstellar object to be seen passing through the solar system. As the strange object was sighted, it was assumed to have been an asteroid. But the odd object is not a space rock in any form. If you ask me, the object is shaped like a long cigar, a very odd shape for an asteroid. Besides the unusually long shape, astronomers believe that the first space object to come from interstellar space into our solar system would be a ball of ice and rocks. So seeing this oddly shaped space object in our solar system threw the astronomers aback. Also, the object's speed was very unusual, as it had been speeding through our solar system for 4 days before the Hawaiian research spotted it. The strange object's orbit was also out of place and made of strange properties. When the Hawaii Institute of Astronomy tried to study the object, the Oumuamua's motions could not be understood using a regular solar system's asteroid data or a comet's orbit. This concluded the astronomers' suspicions that it was a weird object from outside our solar system. Speculations also arose, saying that the object might probably be a comet, but when they took a closer look at the object, they saw that it didn't have a cloud of dust and gas surrounding it. Without these features, it was certain that the object was not a comet, and it concluded the astronomers' suspicions that it was indeed a weird object from outside our solar system. Some scientists even proposed that the object is a spaceship that was sent to spy on our solar system in our galaxy. However, this mysterious interstellar visitor left the same way it came, leaving us in doubt if it would ever come again. Hopefully, we will be ready when it comes next. Number 8. The Betts Mystery Sphere. The Betts family spotted this mystery sphere as they watched a small fire close to their property. Discovered in Fort George Island, Florida in March 1974, the family found the metal sphere with its size a bit smaller than that of a bowling ball, a diameter of 8 inches. However, its weight was equivalent to a bowling ball. The mystery sphere was 8 pounds heavier than the balls professional bowling ball players use in competitions. There was a triangle engraved on the sphere. The family innocently took the sphere home, only for the object to start acting very strange. The family even recalled a strange situation with the sphere that scared them all, even the family dog. Terry Betts, the son of Antoine and Jerry Betts, was playing the guitar when he noticed that the sphere reacted to the sound coming from the guitar. The sphere continued by making a throbbing noise which scared the dog sitting around Terry. On another occasion, the children were sitting on the floor rolling the sphere toward one another, but when it was rolled towards a particular direction, it would change its course midway and roll back to the person that sent it. Truly scary. Number 7. The Alien Tooth Wheel. This artifact was discovered in a mine by a man in Russia. He was gathering pieces of coal to warm his home when he saw an object sticking out of a piece of coal. This object turned out to be a tooth wheel to some device when the piece of coal was handed over to researchers. After tests were carried out on the coal, researchers found that the tooth wheel was made of 98% aluminium and 2% magnesium. This was a weird occurrence because humans did not discover aluminium until 1825, and the piece of coal that held this artifact tight was 300 million years old. The tooth wheel is similar to some parts used to produce microscopes and electronic devices in our world today. These objects weren't around 300 million years ago, so how did this happen if it wasn't an object from outer space? Number 6. The Wedge of Aiud. In 1974, construction workers were working in a village in Aiud, Romania, when they came across a strange object. These objects were recovered 30 feet below the sand by a river. 2 of these objects were mastodon bones, a now extinct animal related to elephants. Discovering these bones was already enough to call it historic until a mysterious wedge-shaped object was unearthed alongside the bones. This strange object comprised 89% aluminium and 6% copper with 12 other elements. As said in the last section, aluminium was discovered in 1825. So if aluminium was discovered in 1825, how do we have a huge wedge buried alongside mastodon bones dating back 11,000 years ago? An aeronautical engineer also made a statement when the object was discovered. He said that the wedge looks exactly like a piece of landing gear on an aircraft. So did an alien civilization probably crash their spaceship 11,000 years ago? Number 5. The Alien Mummy. In the southern desert of Peru in 2017, a man in Cusco made a shocking discovery. This discovery is very similar to a mummified alien head. When it was discovered, an X-ray was conducted on the skull, and it was discovered that the skull had very alien-type characteristics. The skull had angled eyes like an alien's, with shallow eye sockets and a tiny mouth. Although whoever possessed the alien skull earlier must have applied clay on the alien mummy, which made it look more alien-like. It is confirmed that the discovery was indeed an actual skull, but scientists do not know if this skull once belonged to a real-life alien. Number 4. The Roswell Rock. This rock must be one of the thrilling artifacts we are discussing today. It was discovered in Roswell, New Mexico by a man named Robert Bridge. He found the rock half buried in the ground. Robert was shocked by its smooth design and its strange magnetic properties. When the Roswell rock was analyzed, it was discovered that the rock's design was similar to a crop circle found in England in 1996. Seeing these similarities made the whole situation weirder. However, some think this rock was a message sent by aliens. A woman named Linda Howe speculated that aliens are trying to teach us about astronomy. Some also feel that this rock contains a date for some event that has happened or is about to happen. Number 3. Roman Dodecahedron. The Roman dodecahedron is a hollow knobbly metallic polyhedron with 12 sides. Like a 3D octagon, most objects have been seen at almost every excavation site around Central Europe. However, the Roman dodecahedron is an object of mystery to this day. This is because as much as these objects are scattered across several geographical areas, mainly across Europe, people are still determining the purpose these dodecahedrons serve. Although there are speculations that the dodecahedrons are used as a cosmic or astronomical tool, or to communicate with aliens, the empire was very powerful. Number 2. Alien coins. We have seen notable people on our currencies and the faces of legendary leaders such as Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Cleopatra on coins used by ancient civilizations. Among these notable people on coins, we've also seen some confusing coins with aliens. These alien coins were found in Egypt while a house renovation was in process. As they worked on their house, they dug out a series of coins with alien figures. Some other coins were also said to have a spaceship drawn on them. It is believed that an alien probably crash-landed, and while he was getting his ship repaired, he became a notable person in Egypt. Number 1. The Kozo Artifact. In 1961, a group of hikers was collecting rocks in the California mountains when they came across some geodes. These geodes are crystal encased in rock. When they got home, the hikers cut up the geodes to see their content, but what they found was a porcelain casing and a spring with some metal parts embedded into the rock. These pieces looked like spark plugs, but the rock went far back 5,000 years ago. Another weird fact was that the hikers who made this discovery and the Kozo artifact are all missing. Perhaps the Kozo artifact was a portal machine created by the aliens. Which mysterious artifact caught your attention? Let us know in the comments section below.